Hello, everyone. We're just opening up the room to let people filter in. We'll get started right at 11 a.m. Pacific time, but this allows me to get myself situated, allows you to get yourself situated. So if you can hear me, go ahead and drop me a note in the chat box real quick. That way I know all of my stuff is working. So again, if you can hear me, go ahead and drop me a note in that chat box and let me know that you can hear me, see me okay. Thank you, Peggy. So nice to see you. Glad you could make it. And if you're here and you're kind of getting situated, go ahead and get your last glass of water, maybe get a snack, and let me know where you're joining me from. I love to know where everybody's from, and then I get to live vicariously through you as I'm burning up here in Arizona. So go ahead and let me know where you're joining from. Again, we're going to get started right at 11 o'clock, but I wanted to give some time for everything to be set up here. And if you're new to Zoom, please know that I do have the chat box open and I do have the Q&A button or box open. So if you don't want to let everyone know all your business, or you have a question that you don't want to ask in front of everyone, go ahead and use that Q&A function. I will be able to see it. All right, we'll give everybody just a few more moments. All right, and I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay. All right, it is 11 o'clock on the dot and I'm feeling antsy to talk about this one. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So today we are talking about crafting effective emails. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because a lot of times people come to me and they just say, Jen, one of my biggest headaches is my inbox. And I just can't seem to get the answers I need, the answers I want, and I can't get the answers on time. Like people aren't, respecting deadlines and that sort of stuff. So I started thinking about like, how can I help people here and leverage my experience to help break this down into a way that you can really kind of pinpoint where we're making mistakes and how to make it better. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you don't know me, my name is Jennifer Lawrence. I'm a productivity and systems expert with over 15 plus years of experience in the administrative and project management fields. That's a whole mouthful to just say I like making things work and I like making people's lives easier. In fact, my business is built on creating ease through thoughtful systems. And part of those systems that make everybody's lives a little bit easier is trying to figure out how to manage our emails. So we're going to talk today about crafting those emails. All right, so if you know me, if you've been around me, if you've been here a few times, you know that my favorite saying is that there is no best way to get work done the best way for you. So as we walk into this webinar, I want your frame of mind to be, what can I learn? Not, this doesn't work for me. Not everything here is going to apply to everyone. Not everything here is going to work perfectly for everyone. And so as we dig into all of this, if it doesn't apply to your field or it's not going to apply to every email too, that's another thing to keep in mind. So try to find those little nuggets that are going to help you fix up your emails a little bit better. So before we get started again, we've had a few people join in. I just want you to know that, hi, I'm Jen. I do have the chat window open and I do have the Q&A open. So if you do not want to send out your email or your question to everyone, not your emails, don't send me a bunch of emails. If you don't want to send out your chat or your questions to everyone live, you can always use the Q&A function. It comes directly to me. All right, so let's get started. I did a poll on Instagram and I asked people, what is your biggest email headache? And I love the responses because it's so universal, regardless of whether you work in private sector, public sector, if you own your own business, we all kind of hate email the same way. So here were the top responses I got. Getting too many emails, which I'm sure most of us here know that pain. Not getting the response we need when we need it. This is a key thing that a lot of people said. It's not even just not getting the response I need. I don't even time. Like, don't people respect deadlines anymore? The second is solving the message mystery. What was this person even asking for? Like, what do you want? That was a big response. Also, just no clear call to action. What does this email actually need me to do with it? So in this workshop, in this webinar, we to solve all of these for you. And it's going to take a lot of ownership on your behalf. And because of that, I want you to remember that you have likely been a victim of these, but it's equally likely that you've caused these. So we're gonna do a little self-reflection here. I want you to sit into a good place and we're gonna put on our self-awareness hats. And I want you to think of, what kind of email offender are you? And this may not be all the time. Think about like when you're at your worst. What kind of email offender are you? I'm going to read off the descriptions of these, but go ahead and let us know in the chat. Go ahead and say, this is what I am. This is what I do. So the first one is the single thought spammer. These are the people who send emails like they send text messages. Here's this email, this email, this email, this email. And by the time you open up your inbox, you've got like 8 emails from this person. They may all be separate thoughts, or they may all be related, but all it looks like is this giant thread of text messages in your inbox because you just keep getting single thoughts. The second one is the missing details apologizer. This is the person who really should have an autofill in their email that says, oops, I forgot, ... So this is the, oops, I forgot the attachment. Oops, I forgot. This is the date. Oops, I forgot. Here's the other thing. And so these are the people who, for whatever reason, they don't edit their emails before they hit send, and they always forget some piece of information. The next one is the novelist. This one is my favorite because it is self-proclaimed, this is me. And I love, there's a quote from, if anybody's a Bob's Burgers fan, there's an episode where Gene says, wrap it up, Charles Dickens, you're not getting paid by the word. And that resonated so deeply with me because I am a person who, at my worst, I want to provide all the context, all the details, all the things. And so I send you an email and it looks like I just sent you like a news article. Like it is like the longest email known to mankind. And then the final one is the muddy trudger. This is the person who writes an email and it's great. It's got all of the information in it. It's got all the details, but it's not in any logical order. So when people are reading their emails, it's like trudging through mud, getting to the point and getting to the details and trying to understand how everything actually needs to be read and what needs to be responded to. So let me know in the chat, what kind of email offender are you? Like I said, I am the novelist. I write so much and I've been working on this. I've been working on becoming more concise, more succinct. And I'm going to tell you how I developed that method in this workshop. So please let me know. Yeah, Colleen, the novelist for sure, right? Like we just write so much. And I know there are people out there, I mean, Google built an entire functionality within their Gmail platform for the missing details apologizer. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you use Gmail and you say attached is, and there's nothing attached, Gmail is going to yell at you. So I know there are people out there. Okay, great. So we're going to move on to what I call the anatomy of an effective email. So I'm going to break this down for you. I do have a diagram and I'm going to demonstrate it with an example to give you some ideas of how this actually works. So what I have found over my many years of being an EA is that if you want to get the response you need from someone, there are key pieces you need to include. So there's what I've developed, and it's, yeah, I made it up. It's the anatomy of an effective email. So we're going to break the email down into parts, and we're really going to highlight what needs to be included to get the response you need and get it when you need it. Again, like I said, I'm going to be doing this with a fictitious email. I think I chose a fictitious event that I am planning, and I'm sending out information for it. So we're going to break it down starting now. So first and foremost, get powerful with those subject lines. And there is a formula. There's a formula that you can default to when you're sending emails out. And I should highlight, when I'm talking about sending these emails out and using this anatomy, I'm talking about like your big emails. I'm not talking about when you're conversationally shooting emails back and forth. You don't need, like, don't overcomplicate this. This is going to be when you're doing big email pushes that require engagement, require responses, and really have some sort of deadline attached to them, because we've all been there where we're trying to send out an email to 20-something people and we're so fearful that we're going to get bombarded with a bunch of emails or people aren't going to respond in the right way. So this is for those keeping business moving forward emails. Keep all your other conversational emails, keep them the same, honestly. Like, don't overcomplicate it. So let's get back to the subject line. So for powerful subject lines, there is a formula. You're going to have a call to action. You're going to include a date. Now, this is either your due date or a reference date, and then a descriptor. And when I talk about a descriptor, like, get descriptive. And so this is going to play out in such a way of like, signature needed by September 1st, company X contract, or response needed, and then September 1st, executive team meeting. You want to be really descriptive about what it is, because if you do it right, people can glance at that email, see the subject line, and they're like, I know exactly what I need to do with that email. And they honestly will prioritize your email because they already know what they need to do with it. So again, call to action, date, descriptor. Here's some common call to actions that you can start using. Response needed. You have a question. Maybe you're looking to get people's dietary restrictions. Maybe you need people to select a date. Maybe you have a question and you just need an answer. Response needed is an excellent use for that. Signature required, self-explanatory. Important event information. You're just pushing this info out. You need people to read it and you need people to consume it. Just important event information for your review, whatever. Please review also is an indicator that the person just needs to review it. If you need people to respond, use response needed. Please review is really more of those like FYI sort of emails where you're just pushing information. Approval needed is another great one where you're working on a project or you're up against some sort of bureaucratic barrier and you need someone to sign off. That's a great one because then people can say like, oh, I'm actually becoming a blockage for the system if I don't do this next. And then my major EA flex muscle is using scheduling. I still use this in my business today when I'm sending people emails to do business with my clients. I start the email with scheduling, and then whatever it is, like the meeting, interview, discovery call, whatever it needs to be. And the reason I do that is because when people see scheduling, they're like, oh, I just need to look at my calendar real quick. When you say scheduling, people know this is a calendar related thing. I just need to pop it open and done. Whereas if you send an email and people are like, oh yeah, that's right, I have to schedule that. Oh, right, that's what that email is. So by using clear call to actions, you're already telling people what you need from them. And quite frankly, people appreciate the clarity. So here's my example email. So the subject line is important meeting information. That's the call to action. This is an FYI. You can even use FYI if that works in your environment. I like to be a little bit more clear so people know exactly what it is. The date of the meeting, I've included the date of the meeting and the clear descriptor. You'll notice I didn't say team offsite or offsite. I used executive team offsite. So that's one thing that people seem to forget in today's world is that we all have 8,000 meetings and we have all these workshops and webinars. And so all of these things, you need to include the descriptors if you want people to instantly know where they are on the map and what frame of mind they need to put themselves into. All right, next. Greetings are not dead. I can't tell you how many emails I get that don't have any sort of greeting on them. When I send emails, I try to imagine picking up the phone and calling somebody with this message or stopping them in a hallway. If you were to walk up to somebody in a hallway and just say, need this contract signed, and walk away, what sort of rapport are you building with those people? It's the same thing with emails. And we seem to think, again, with like conversational emails, like if you're firing back and forth, this may not be required, but when you're sending emails back and forth, first and foremost, it's polite. It's polite to say hello. It's polite to address the person you're sending the email to. It also sets the tone for the content. We all know this. You know that feeling happens in your heart when you get the email that says, hi, and it just says, Jennifer, comma. Like my heart sinks into my butt when I get an email that just says Jennifer. So So we all know that you can use greetings to set the tone for the email you're sending. Additionally, it invites the recipients into the conversation. And on that same wavelength, it clarifies who's included in the email and who the message is actually intended for. We've all been CC'd on a bunch of emails. So when you see an email that says, "Hi, Tom," and you're Jen, you're like, okay, well, this message is actually intended for Tom, but I've been CC'd as an FYI, so I should read it real quick. So it's a great way to also draw attention to that and also clarify who's on it. If Tom is on the email says, "Hello, executive team," he knows that everyone on the executive team needs to review that. So it's a great way to really call attention to who needs to be engaged with the content. So this one, very easy. "Hello, everyone. Nice, happy greeting." All right, so we're gonna work that body. You ready? All right, this is the meat and potatoes, and this is where a lot of us go wrong. So let's go in here and kind of highlight where we can go wrong and how we can fix it. And using the anatomy format, that's where we're going to address. So first and foremost, just as an overall theme for your email, do your best to be thorough and concise. This means really working hard to break down the information. What really needs to be included? Are there better ways to write this? Maybe working on your grammar is a good place to focus here too, to make sure that you're using appropriate phrasing and appropriate words to describe what you're trying to say. When you get into the body, at the top of the body, after your greeting, you're going to, in a conversational way, repeat the subject line. So with our example, we're talking about, I'm sending out important event information for the October 1st executive team offsite. So to repeat the subject, I would say something like, "We're looking forward to the October 1st executive team offsite at such and such location." That allows people to, again, gain their bearings, because let's be frank, some people just don't read the subject lines at all. So even though you've done your best to have a powerful subject line, some people skip over it anyway. So just repeat that information. And then include some additional details. In this email, you're going to find the agenda, blah, 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 blah. And then and as you get into the details, this is important. I almost skipped this, guys. As you include the details, if you're going to call out a date, so if you're going to say, "We are going to be meeting at 8:00 p.m. or 8:00 a.m., gosh, 8:00 p.m., that would be terrible, 8:00 a.m., for the love of all that is holy, please include the time zones." We work in a global environment, and a lot of us work in like funky time zone areas. So if you are sending out an email at any point that includes a time, just include the time zone for good measure. You don't know where your recipient is going to be. You may assume, but you can't always be sure. So make sure that you're including time zones if you are needing to include dates in your emails. So then, as you've repeated the subject line, you've included some additional descriptors. Before you even get to the chunk of information, state the ask. What does this person need to do with this? Another great example is like if you are sending out a project update. So you've sent out, you've used your powerful subject line, you've got your greeting, you're telling people to review the updated project information. So you've included in there, this is a project update for project X. And we've got some new deadlines coming up, blah, blah, blah. And then the ask is, "Please review the below information and send us your questions before such and such date." State the ask. And it's going to sound a lot like your call to action. It should actually reflect your call to action yet again. So in the subject line, your intro line, and in the ask, people know exactly what this is. And it's going to sound really redundant, but I'm promising you, you're going to get one email in response, and it's going to be the email you need. So state the ask clearly. Then you're going to get into highlighting the details. And this is where, my dear novelists, this is where we got to get to work. This is where we got to use formatting to help us out. And the best way to make sure that you are being thorough and concise is to use that formatting to break up your text. So use bulleted and numbered lists. If you are including headers to break up your information, use some bolds and some underlines to help draw the eye into different pieces. Italicize important details. We've all seen it. There's something's italicized and you instantly want to go look and read what that is, right? It seems like an afterthought. And then use color to draw attention. I'm not a fan of using the color red. I have some like PTSD from being a kid and getting red marks on my homework. So I suggest using colors to draw attention to really important details. I am fond of the color orange, obviously, but I've also in the past used greens and blues to highlight text so that people know that this is important for you to know, but I'm not trying to scare you. So you get through your meat and potatoes of your details, whatever it may be, whether it's additional context, whether you're trying to highlight changes to a contract, whether you are trying to put out the actual details, like this is the actual information you're trying to send out, whether it's the options of times for people to select from if they want to schedule a call with the people that on the meeting, whatever it may be, this is where this goes, and you're going to break it up using formatting so that it's easy to digest. And then at the end, after you've done all that again, you're going to repeat the ask again. Because how many times have you gotten to the end of an email and you're like, oh, what do I need to do with this again? What do they need from me? I've just digested all of this information. What do they need from me? So this, to be clear, in an effective email, you're actually stating the ask, the call to action 4 times if you include the subject line. And again, that sounds redundant. It sounds like too much, but I'm telling you, you're going to get one email response. You're going to get it when you need it. And it's going to be completely comprehensive. So you've repeated the subject line, you've included the details, you've stated your ask, you've given the chunk, the meat, the potatoes, I'm making myself hungry. You've repeated the ask again, and then your closer. And we all know what a good closer is. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me, or whatever it may be, whatever leaves that door open for questions or directs them to the person who they need to ask questions to. So if you are not the owner of the information, if there's someone who is better to direct additional questions to, so if you're in a contracting phase and maybe you're the person coordinating the signatures, but you're not the contract owner, that would be the appropriate place to call out and include their email address and what have you. So what does this look like? I'm not going to read this to you. Don't worry. But this is essentially how it breaks down, right? So at the top, I've repeated the subject line. I got more descriptive. I called out the location. I called out what is included in the email. And then again, I repeated my ask. Please review the following and the attached agenda carefully. That's all I want them to do is review it. And so then I used my formatting to break up my information. You can see very easily here are the logistics. Here's where I need you to be. And then also, here's what you need. I've attached the agenda for your review. And then also, please remember, you need to bring your own laptop. And you see that right away, right? I'm sure most of you look straight at that orange line first. So even if someone decides not to look at the agenda or even read the email, they know they need to bring their own laptop. And then finally, I repeated the ask at the bottom and left the door open for questions. If you have questions regarding the above or any concerns, please let me know. Again, you can repeat the ask and put it in the closer together. And it also, depending on the type of email you are trying to send, you can mush some of these pieces together, right? You don't need to put the ask like 18 times in there. You can just, depending on the way you craft your email, the way you wordsmith it, you can put these pieces together. You'll just want to make sure that you've done it, you've repeated the ask 4 times, that you have the clarity of the content, that you've broken it down using formatting, because no one really wants to read like chunks of emails. That's a good way to get your emails ignored or put on the back burner so long that that's why people are fighting your deadlines. And finally, we want to have a good sign off, guys. Have a good sign off. Be easy to contact. This has become like a new trend lately where people don't use email signatures. And I don't know why, to be completely frank with you. It is really good decorum when it comes to emails to be easy to contact. Have your name, at a bare minimum, your name, your email address, and your phone number. And I get a lot of pushback on the email. A lot of people say, well, if they see my email, then my email address is in it. Even if they forward it or reply it, it's like up there. The thing about including your email is it also makes it really easy, because when people are looking to contact you, they look for a signature. And so, yeah, I could go up to like the forwarding lines and kind of find it in like the jumble of the coding, right? Like when you forward it to somebody and there's like that big block header at the top, you could do that, or you can just make it super easy and have somebody click on it. The other thing is when you're doing signatures, make sure you have it for not only new emails, have some sort of parsed down version for email replies. A lot of people don't like having them on email replies, but even just having a very simple version of it with your name, your email address, and your phone number will make a world of difference. And don't forget to put this into your phone. Now, a lot of us have the like default, like the funny default signature that goes out when we send emails from our phone, the please excuse any errors, or I fat fingered this, or whatever you want to put on there. But it's really important that if you can be as cheeky as you want to be, but make sure that you're including in there your email and your phone number so that you are easy to contact if anybody has any questions. And so obviously this is really easy to demonstrate. Apparently I renamed my company Awesome Company. But you can see right down there at the bottom, it doesn't have to be anything wonderful. It doesn't have to be anything flashy. It doesn't even have to be your like big corporate, branded thing. It can just be something as simple as your email address and your phone number. So if you do anything today, make sure you go into your phone or your iPad if you work from your iPad, or any other, I favor Apple products in case you haven't noticed. But if you have any other sort of tablet device or what have you, make sure that your email, in your email settings, you can set a signature. Make sure you do that today. Okay. And so if you've enjoyed this, if this has been interesting to you, I actually have a full on-demand course where we dive deeper into the anatomy of an email communication, and I give you a bunch of tips. I think there's something like 7 to 10 tips on how to be more effective with your emails. And I show you tutorials in Outlook and Gmail. It's a big bundle of information. There's something like 4 or 5 modules. It's like 70 minutes worth of content. It's highly affordable. If you want to dig deeper into this, if this is something you really need to focus on and you want to learn more about, I also have a ton of other resources in there too. All the different tools that I've used to improve my email writing over the years, those are all in there too. So if you want to learn more, go ahead and head over to jenlawrence.co/courses, and it'll be there for you to check out. And at this time, does anyone have any questions? Go ahead and fire them into the chat box. I'll sit here for just a moment, give you the opportunity to ask any questions. Let me know if there's any additional sticking points. It doesn't just have to be about emails. You can ask me about inboxes or productivity, whatever you want. It's kind of a free form Q&A. Go ahead and type it into that chat box or the Q&A. And if not, I would love to connect with you. If no one has any questions, go ahead and connect with me on social media. I put all of my information up there on the screen. There's my email address where you can find me online. I just started a Pinterest page, so I haven't added that to my contact form yet. So if you have Pinterest, go ahead and join me over there. Not only are we sharing out my content so it's easy to find, but we're scouring the interwebs to find all of the content that we think will also be valuable. So there's going to be a ton of content in there for you as well. Colleen, I'm so glad that you found the subject tips to be really helpful. That has really been a game changer for me in my emails and the responses that I get from people. And like I said, I use it even now as an entrepreneur to get responses from people super fast. To be honest, it's sometimes hard for me to keep up with my email cycle because I no longer have that lull of people thinking about my emails. They know what to do and they get back to me really fast. But the nice thing is that the number of emails coming into my inbox has greatly decreased. So, okay, well, we don't have any other questions who have come in. So I did this one in under 30 minutes. I think it's a record for me, guys. We do have many more webinars coming up. I will continue doing one a month, except for the month of December. It's my Christmas gift to myself, not to do a webinar in December. But if you head over to jenlawrence.co/webinars, you'll see the new ones that have popped up. There's a great one coming up in October about inbox management that you're not going to want to miss. Otherwise, you guys can find me and connect with me on social media. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate seeing you. Thank you, Andrew. So good to see you. Can't wait to talk to you soon.